Welcome back to Echo Ridge and a new series featuring the Frosty Planet Pack. Now, since I learned my lesson in the past, we're going to go with this spaced out. Although it's important to note you can still start with the classic style and still start on the Ceres asteroid, which is featured in the Frosty Planet Pack. But for this playthrough, we're going with spaced out, and of course, starting on Ceres Minor. Ceres Minor? I'm sure I'm going to butcher that one a whole bunch. One thing that I noticed when going through some of these starting coordinates is it seems like there's an opportunity for a lot more world traits on the Ceres Minor. I don't ever remember seeing a previous asteroid that could have 4 traits, although it frequently comes up on this one, which definitely increases the chance for chaos, but I also want to make sure I have enough room to build things, and things like mixed boulders, or in this case, large boulders, mixed boulders, and even slime molds really take up a significant chunk of your usable material. Here's an interesting world trait. This one has large glaciers. I believe this is new because I don't remember seeing it in the past. This asteroid roll also has a frozen core. I don't know what the core on a Ceres Minor asteroid is to begin with, so I don't necessarily want to adjust the core so that I can actually see how it normally starts. Here's another example of an asteroid you do not want to roll. This one features mixed boulders, medium boulders, and large boulders. I'd be surprised if there was anything left after all this. After entirely too much clicking, this is what we're going to settle on because this is exactly the type of chaos you've come to expect here on the channel. Geoactive means we'll have a lot more vents and geysers to be able to tame, which is fun and provides for more content. The volcanic activity means we can do some silly stuff with magma, and that seems like a perfect fit for a frozen planetoid. There is a new tab on the destination screen, and it's called Scramble DLCs, which means hopefully we get a lot more of these sort of checkboxes. You can also game the game as far as what biomes you want to include, or at least have a chance to include. So this will sort of be fun when we choose a different planetoid to mix and match some of these new biomes. We're starting with all the story traits, and all the game settings are on normal. So without further ado, let's get going and hope this one launches. I am starting with my standard digger, researcher, and rancher. I wanted to get a rancher farmer, as I like to do on spaced out asteroid size, but I also wanted to start with the brand new duplicant Freya. And I clicked around quite often trying to find another Freya, but enough was clearly enough. Now this pay starts with digging, supplying, and building, which means they'll be perfect at digging and building those ladders, and the Amari is decent at researching, but not so good that it makes it too quick. They're also good at supplying and cooking. I've been doing more of the cooking with the researching, because in late game, when you're done with the researching, well, they can do some cooking too. Something interesting about Freya is the fact that they are frost-proof, and I believe every Freya that I came up with had the frost-proof trait, which means they're immune to chilly surroundings. Now, we could have gamed the game and made sure that the other 2 duplicants had frostproof as well, but that would sort of defeat the purpose of starting with this new Frosty Planet Pack. Now, I'm not gonna rename Freya after one of our channel members because I need to get used to Freya and her name. But the other 2 dupes are going to be named after our YouTube channel members and our Patreons. So welcome Nazgul, the Luke, and Freya to a colony name that's gonna have to be something to do with chilly or cold. Now, as soon as I name this colony, I know there's gonna be dozens of better names in the comments below. I'll make sure I heart my favorites, so throw some ideas down there. The best I could come up with was the Chill Hill. Time to embark and see what's up with this brand new DLC. The first thing I've noticed is the printing pod gives us a different message. It says the ambient temperatures of this planet are inhospitably low. They've also detected ruins of a scientifically advanced settlement buried deep beneath our landing site, and if my duplicants can survive the journey into this frosty planet's core, we could use this newfound technology to build a colony like no other. So is this planet's core frozen anyways? And what happens if you use a frozen core? I'm gonna have to load one up later to see. Now this playthrough is going to be from the blind position. I've not tried any strategies out. I haven't even watched a single video about the Frosty Planet Pack. So I'm going to be learning as we go. First thing I've noticed is, well, there's a lot of ice. Let's click on the temperature overlay. Yeah, this looks wonderful. There is a wood heater up here in the top right, and a wonderful little coat rack. Off to the side is a research portal. It looks like we're going to get a free technology or something. I like this. This is a pretty cool addition to the game. All the tiles are made out of packed snow, which makes me wonder, can I make tiles out of packed snow? And then these tiles up here are made of wood. We also have some cinnabar ore. A quick look at it. Looks like it has a decent thermal conductivity at 4.5, and it can be refined into mercury. Very nice. What else do we have here? Some phosphorite, some dirt, the wonderful new phlox, which I know a lot of you are going to think is super cute, but for me, it sort of represents nightmare fuel. Go away, phlox. An alveo vera is growing at 74% complete. Requires ice to fertilize. What do you do for us? They consume carbon dioxide and form harvestable oxalite deposits. Ooh la la. 36 kilos of oxalite per harvest. I'm looking forward to doing some tests with these sort of frozen oxiferns and see if you can actually sustain a colony on those. We have a lot of oxygen pressure up here. In fact, it gets up to 2.9 kilos. My assumption is this cavity can actually get overpressurized because of the alveo vera, just like an oxifern that keeps eating carbon dioxide and creating more oxygen. Then we have a sureberry plant, which looks like it can be harvested for a single food serving, although it says it's 100 kilos. We also start with 20 tons of wood. That's very convenient. And because of that, we can build ladders, which we can now build out of wood. As another note, notice that it no longer says lumber, and they've changed it to say wood. We can build an outhouse out of wood, a cot, and that is about it so far. Also fun note is all of my duplicants are going to get these cute little adorable beds now. So after looking at this for a few minutes, this temperature is so cold, even if the duplicants pee themselves, well, it's just going to freeze. So I'm not too worried about it. Not to mention the fact I don't have any water anyways to be able to put into the wash basin. In fact, there's no water anywhere. Of course, this probably also means because it's so cold, it doesn't really matter for as far as germs go because, well, the germs aren't going to stay living in this anyways. Couple new temperature overlay things. We have thermal tolerance, state change, relative temperature with a wonderful little slider. That's kind of cool. Of course, it is color-based, so it's not going to help me a whole ton. But it is still very interesting, as in you can set the relative temperature, and then it'll show you what's colder or warmer than that temperature. So I think I'll keep mine at 1 degree. And then, of course, the standard absolute temperature. But there's a couple of new icons here, heat source and heat sink. And it looks like our wood heater, of course, is a heat source. So I will be interested in getting up to it. This seems to be a point of interest that I cannot build yet. So I think we're going to start by digging over here, grabbing some of this ice and snow, see what we can do with it, and just get some bedrooms going. There's the wonderful phloxes jumping around. Very cute. I'm also going to be careful of leaving this aloe vera in place because it will be a source of oxygen after this oxalite has finished going off. Oh, and there's another tag. Sublimators. The selected object belongs to the sublimators resource category. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's pretty new. There is no clickable entry on sublimators. Let me try up here. Nothing in there, so I'm assuming sublimators are just resources that emit things. Let's build our first 3 cots. We're going to build them out of wood. Oh, beautiful. Can't build a door yet, but at least they have someplace to sleep. I'll go over here, and we will put in a couple of outhouses. Oh, and there's some oxalite ready. So I do want to get over here. Am I going to be able to demolish this? Yes, we will eventually be able to demolish this. So I'm thinking about putting the bathrooms over here. And oh no, Naz is already chilly, which means they're getting plus 10% stress, minus 50% stamina, and minus 5 to athletics. Nothing I can do about that though, Naz. After thinking about this, I'm probably going to end up moving these cots all the way up here to the wood heater. So I have a feeling is if they go by the wood heater every once in a while, they'll get warm. I just don't know how long that buff lasts for. Since time is of the essence, I'm going to put a couple of outhouses here, and we have dropped an aloe vera seed. That is wonderful. And we already are up to 8.9 tons. Make that 9.3 tons worth of ice. And it looks like the aloe vera, when domestically grown, only requires 20 kilos per cycle. So we're going to try to plant one of those. In our digging, we have found our first warm area. Actually, it is frozen over as well. Is anything warm here? There is some ethanol here in the bottom right. This is wonderful to see, thanks to the fact that the ethanol does not freeze until minus 114. And I've realized we don't have access to dirt quite yet. There's some right here. Okay, there's one right there. We'll grab it, and I will also enable auto harvest on these wonderful aloe vera plants. Yes, give me the goodies. Perfect. 30 grams of oxalate. That is very nice. Something to keep in mind, though, they only grow when they're in carbon dioxide. So that's not going to be too consistent. We did get another sureberry, so we're up to 20,000 calories. We also have an Idalia seed. Now, because both the Lug and Naz are freezing their tuchus off, I think it is smart to go ahead and get all the way up to this level already, which does represent a little different way to play, because normally by this time we're filling up sinks with water, but there is no water. Our dupes are cold, so our priorities are a little different. So I think while avoiding this aloe vera plant, we are going to climb up. We have wood. It's going to take 100 kilos worth of wood to climb up, which is a little bit more than I'd wanted to. Now, it looks like these phlox's antlers are made out of wood, and they are. In fact, you can get 360 kilos per 6 cycles. Unfortunately, you have to shear it. Well, we don't have the ability to shear anything yet, so I think we're going to make our up route, let's say right here. And just dig all the way up. I'm going to try to make it nice, but you know how this goes. In fact, because it's not even, I'm just not even going to bother. This is only a 2-tile high row. So we're just going to go in here, and we'll end up putting some cots right through here. That's another thing, is I don't know if this emits heat on a constant basis, so everything around it would be nice and warm. How big's the range? It does have a light range of 6 tiles, so that means the cots cannot be there. So I'm going to try digging off into this area here. Be careful with the snow. It can come down and block you just like the dirt can. We should probably start setting up ranches and stuff here soon. So I need to get started on some research. Look at all this wonderful oxalate sitting down in here. I still don't want to dig down though, because I want all that carbon dioxide to sit and keep feeding all these aloe vera plants. Oh, let's try unlocking the research, see what it gives us. I was thinking before that it gave us a light source research. No, that's just me being a noob. It's because it emits light. What are we learning? Very interesting. Research discovered. We've decrypted the research portal's final transmission. New buildings have become available. Wood heater, ice liquefier, and wood tiles. There's our source of water with the wonderful ice liquefier. Look, it even came with a welcome message that says everything is under control. See? I told you everything's fine. So now I'm thinking that the research portal contains that same set of research every single time. Although I'm still not too concerned with the whole water thing because, well, it's too cold for germs. The wood heater and the ice liquefier are found under utilities, and they both require a metal ore, which we have not gone through yet. And the wood tile is not a standard tile. So wood tiles require 200 kilos worth of wood, which is the same as the raw mineral requirement, but they chose to separate them out. We are taking a quick food break. Naz is still a little chilly, but plus 10% stress with minus 50% stamina and minus 5 athletics is not too bad. And remember on the stress part, because they have the New Hope buff and they're not having any morale problems, the stress isn't a big issue right now, although I'm sure that can change. Unfortunately, it does look like the Luke and Naz are not sleeping well because, well, they're too chilly. I want to tell them that, you know, if you get under the blankie, you might be a little warmer. Meanwhile, Freya's having the best night of her life. And it does look like all the food poisoning germs are sticking. I noticed because Freya had exposure to food poisoning germs. So apparently food poisoning germs do not care about the cold. So let me find some of this metal ore. It's going to make me dig south, isn't it? All right, there's a little bit right here. I suppose I can use the materials overlay. That would help. Here is our metal ore, and I'm going to be stubborn and not dig this out. I suppose I could just put some tiles there. some cute little wood tiles. And that'll give us a little bit of the metal ore to be able to work with. And it looks like each tile does have 1,840 kilos, so we'll get 920 kilos back. This is what I was referring to. The temperature range for food poisoning germs is minus 25°C. Right here, it's minus 25.6. Why do they still have germs on them? I guess it's because the duplicant is warmer than minus 25. Alright, Naz is now warming up thanks to the wood inside the wood heater, and it is heating up pretty quickly. We can see the temperature change here. In fact, it looks like it's interacting with the entire environment, which is going to end up melting some ice. Let's see how far this light goes till right here. So I'll just move the cots up there. I don't know how long it'll take for this wood heater to push the heat over, but it'll be a good start for the duplicants. I'll reclaim all of our wood from these old cots. And the ice liquefier also creates heat, so we need to be careful where we put it as well. And these aloe veras can only go to 0 degrees, so maybe we'll put the ice liquefier over here. And then finally our 2 wash bay. I gotta move all this around. It's too close to that ladder rung. So let me move these potties back, and then we'll have enough room for our transport corridor and some sinks. I suppose I can dig these out. It'll allow this carbon dioxide to float down, providing more carbon dioxide for the aloe vera plants. And then I'll put another usable level up here. And this is where we're gonna put our ice liquefier. No, better yet, this is where we're gonna put our wheel, so that this aloe vera plant keeps getting the carbon dioxide being emitted by the duplicant on the wheel. But I do need to keep the battery somewhat away. That way the aloe vera plant doesn't end up getting too much heat. So we'll put that there. Then we have a research station. Oh yeah, this is all coming together now. And it looks like we do have enough cinnabar ore to do something like this. And then I still need an ice liquefier, but it takes 400 kilos of the ore. So I need to find a little bit more. We'll go dig all of this out right here. There is plenty of the ore, it's just a little bit further away. I have found some uranium up here, and some wolframite, some iron ore down here. And once I get a little bit more ore, I am going to put a door down so we get our barracks buff. And it does look like Naz does get an errand to go warm up. And once they do, they are frost resistant and immune to soggy feet for 0.2 cycles. Oh, we can also rummage through this coat rack. Holds one warm coat. Naz, come grab your warm coat. Oh, you're going to look amazing. Absolutely. Now, the warm coat is going to provide a little bit of insulation. If we go over to the bio tab and down to equipment, you can see that it has 0.8 insulation thickness compared to the Luke, which has 0, which doesn't really say how it helps. Here in body temperature, there's not a big difference between Naz and the Luke here, unless of course there's just something I'm missing. I'd love to see the math of how much the warm coat helps, other than the fact that we know it does. And I still haven't built the teapot because I haven't gotten more of the ore yet, so we're gonna get another round of the wonderful food poisoning germs. Of note, it looks like the Luke had been in the cold for long enough, so all their food poisoning germs went away, but they're about to get a lot more. We do start with pemmican instead of the, what is it called, a Nutribar? Nutrient bar. Looks like the clay devs also play some RimWorld. Interestingly enough, the warm coat was enough to keep Naz warm for sleeping, but the Luke is still chilly. So they're not getting good rest, which is going to tank their stamina and their immunity for even more. So I think at this point it might be worth to actually go up into these lockers. There's 4 lockers that we can rummage through, although we don't have the digging skill to get through the granite quite yet. Can I go down? No. Yeah, as soon as we get the skills, we'll definitely go dig and grab hopefully more warm coats out of these lockers. So for now, I'll cancel this since they can't do that anyways. And now poor Luke is shivering, although they are warming up now. We've got our nice supply of cinnabar. I'm going to try for now to keep our little teapot away from the plants that are providing our oxygen. So I think this is a good enough spot right here. And we'll also throw down our wonderful wash basins here. And I have enough ore to finally put down a door. This will make our first bathroom. We can also use a wooden tile right there. And then we'll put a door here for our barracks. And I suppose we can start on some research. I think the big battery is normally the first thing we grab, and I don't see a reason why to alter from that course, so we will grab it. And it looks like Freya is starting to load up the teapot here. Consumes wood to melt ice into water, so we're consuming both wood and ice in this process. As a matter of fact, I need to make sure we are tracking our wood supply, our ice, our cinnabar, probably our dirt would be handy. Yeah, that'll be good for now. We did find some pike apple bush seeds. Now the pike apple bush requires phosphorite and gives you 267 kilos worth of pike apple for only 5 kilos worth of phosphorite. Not too bad. They require 3 cycles to grow, which gives you an average rate of 267 kilos per cycle. Have the plants always done this? Have I done the math manually for nothing? Let's check that. Mealwood? Oh no. 200 calories a cycle for mealwood. That's the reason why we need 5 mealwoods per dupe. I have no idea if this is new or not, but this is very handy. It looks like the ice liquefier requires emptying, but none of the dupes are getting that task. Is it because it looks like they just don't need to empty it until they need to use it again. Oh, it requires emptying because it's filled with water. So whenever we need more water, we already have it. And our first round of printables with our new colony. We are sitting at over 16,000 calories, so if we see a good dupe, we can grab it. I like the idea of grabbing this Nails here, who's good at building, supplying, and researching. I don't care much about the researching, but the fact that they're buff means they'd be pretty good as a pick 'em up and set 'em down dupe. A Joya seed also has a temperature range of 0 to 100, which is a little bit lower than some of the other plants, so it'd be useful too, but in this case, I think we're going to grab the Nails. Welcome to Chill Hill, Duplicant number 4, JM Mort. Now before I forget, I wanted to let you know what the mission of this playthrough is. You may not know that there's a new imperative from the printing pod, and that is the full steam ahead. Apparently on this planetoid somewhere there's going to be a geothermal power plant, and once we reconnect it and get it going and clear the blocked geovent, we will win this imperative. So it might be a shorter series, but at least we're going to learn a lot in the process. There's another reason why I'm doing this, and it's because with the new Frosty Planet Pack, I don't have 100% ONI achievements. So I need to unlock this last achievement, which we can only do by fulfilling the power imperative. We have finished our first piece of research, so the jumbo battery can go in. Now of note, if you start thinking, well, I can just start putting around a bunch of batteries if I wanted to heat this place up, well, keep in mind that the jumbo battery produces 1.25 kilodTUs of heat, just like the small battery. So you can save yourself quite a bit of ore by just putting a bunch of regular batteries around. But I don't think that's the strategy that you need to do in and around this planetoid. For the simple reason, you're not going to be able to get rid of this chill for quite some time. And if you did, well, you'd be left with a whole lot of water and not a lot of material. This is the minerals overlay. There's not a lot until you get all the way out here. Next up on the research front, I think we're going to go to our planter boxes and then start gravitating towards ranching itself. I'm not going to be able to get ranching yet because I'm going to have to unlock the advanced research capability, but we'll come back here and do it in a little bit. Also notice that the wood heater is located under employment, so it's not really required that you get the research portal. Now for some reason the Luke is sleeping just fine because they are frost resistant. They must have had a visit at the wood heater, whereas JM Mort still hasn't learned that lesson. I think it's probably also time for me to separate the schedules a little bit. I don't plan on going too duplicant heavy on this playthrough until I figure out all of the critter mechanics and all of the new plants, but it's still important that we don't want all the duplicants on one schedule, because then you have no one to work during the nighttime, and also all of them are trying to use the bathroom at the same time. So we'll take Naz and Luke and put them down here in the second schedule. JM Mort did start with their free skill. Could game the game a little bit and put them in advanced research, which would cause them to gain more skill points more quick. But I'm not in a big hurry, so we're just going to throw them into improved carry, and then patiently wait for Naz to get their next skill point, which we're a little over halfway. Another nice new feature is you can see the research in progress in the UI. It rotates through the buildings that research is going to unlock, and even has a little status bar. I thought it was a very nice touch. We have some idle dupes, so I think we're going to start by doing a little bit of building. I'm going to leave the ice and then unearth everything up to this granite. It'll give us a little bit more vision over here. We're still sitting at 14,000 calories, and I also have a bunch of these shareberry plants everywhere, which I suppose I can load up all in this one spot, make it a little bit more convenient. I also need to remember to auto-harvest all these aloe veras. Taking a deeper dive on the phloxes, it looks like they are non-hostile. We are going to be able to get the wood from their antlers. They've got a pretty good range. Their comfort range is minus 30 to 10, and their livable range is minus 60 to 100. And of note, they did rework the critter happiness system to where critters outside their comfort range will lose happiness, which will impact their reproduction. Not only do they give you some wood, they also drop meat at 1,600 kilos, but it's not as much as a hatch. A hatch drops 3,200 kilos worth of meat, whereas a phlox only drops 1,600. So in your math, you want to consider them closer to pips that also drop 1,600 kilos. Some other small differences of the way you play in this DLC is something like the compost is going to be unavailable to you in the beginning because of the aforementioned lack of minerals, at least here in the beginning. I was considering putting a compost down to eat some of the polluted dirt coming out of the outhouses, and it's like, oh yeah, I have no minerals to be able to build it with. I am going to dig down in here to go harvest this aloe vera here, but because of all this carbon dioxide sitting here, I will end up opening it up, but this will just be easier at the beginning. And the reason why I have to open it up is because I don't want carbon dioxide to float this way and then sit. I'd rather it go down to these plants here. Those plants do a pretty good job. There's not a lot of carbon dioxide sitting around here. In fact, considering they only take ice to fertilize, and I'm sitting at 30 tons of it, I might make a little system. We have finished work on the planter boxes, so why don't we dig down here, and I'm going to make our first carbon dioxide sink. Maybe here and here. And I'll also open these two tiles up, that way carbon dioxide can come down and oxygen can come up. Let's also open these areas here. Oh yes, this is going to be nice. Have we discovered anything over here? Does it get warmer? No, it does not. Oh, our phlox found a friend. It was the phlox over here. They can jump over the one tiles. Hip hop. Hello, friend. I mean, it's nightmare fuel, friend, but it's still friend. As we're digging this out, I took a look at our wood pile. We're still sitting at over 16 tons. This is also a small change, is you are on a timetable as far as using the wood heaters and the ice liquefiers, and that's for the simple reason that once you're out of wood, you're not going to be able to melt water or heat the duplicants up at the wood heater. So yeah, we've typically been on a time frame as far as oxygen and food goes. Well, now we're on a time frame to when we can start getting wood again. Either that, or finding another way to keep the duplicants warm. Now this system is going to prevent me from digging down for a little while, but I'm not too concerned about that. I can dig up for quite some time. I can spend plenty of time digging up while we figure out how to deal with things like, oxygen, meanwhile keeping this carbon dioxide sink and hopefully providing quite a bit of oxygen in the meantime. I'm going to put down 4 of these planter boxes, except the comments will yell at me if I don't use one of the prettier planter boxes. Let's go with the sleek blue. And now we will go dig out all of these aloe veras from wherever we can find them. What are you... Phlox? You got stuck in the snow! Another note about the wood heater is it is emitting carbon dioxide, but it's only 4 grams per second. So I do think I am going to get rid of this ice tile, which means we're going to dig up our wonderful Idalia flower, but I don't think it was doing much for them anyways. Although it does say that if you gaze dreamily at them, it'll have a positive effect on morale. We have finished our planter boxes, so let me go find our wonderful aloe vera plants, and we'll just copy all those over. And since the aloe veras can chew through 2,000 milligrams per second of carbon dioxide, I don't see why we can't put in another wonderful wood heater, let's say like down here. So now if the duplicants are working down here, better yet, let's put it by the bathroom. And that way the duplicants can get warm before they go to the potty, and all that carbon dioxide will instantly drop, or they can get warm here, like Luke's doing. And it looks like the duplicant can get warm to the left or right side. So just in case, I am going to put a ladder right here, because I'm not sure how this will impact it having a door on this side. So I'll keep an eye on that as well. Oh, and look at this. chewing up all that carbon dioxide. Another little thing I'm going to do just to make this as effective as possible is put a couple tiles right here. That way the carbon dioxide doesn't pool in here and it's all forced to go down to this little chamber. And I think the only thing I can do to make this a little bit better is actually take the oxalite out of here after it's harvested. So I'll put a storage bin right here in the middle of the colony. In fact, it might be better to have it where the duplicants sleep. So I'm going to put it right here. That way it's on the same level, which then gives us an opportunity to discuss another change, and that's the fact that the storage bins now have the all standard, which removes sublimators such as oxalite and a lot of the polluted materials, clothing, and critter eggs. But in this case, we actually want the oxalite. So now all the oxalite in and around the colony is going to be loaded into this storage bin. So as soon as it's harvested out of here, we'll get it out of the way of all the carbon dioxide. And Naz has finally got their skill point, so into hard digging Naz goes, which means we can dig over in here and start rummaging through all of these lockers. And oh my goodness, they made the data banks different. Oh, that is wonderful. Now it's a 5 1/4 floppy instead of 3 1/2. We will also put another door in. That way we can still keep our room bonus. We've also unlocked our supercomputer, which this aloe vera plant is in the way of. So we'll end up putting it here. We don't have a light source yet, do we? It would have been smart to put the research station by the research portal because it emits light. In fact, so does the wood heater, although this is very dim light. So let's try it over here. We've got a handy access to power right there, so that'll work. I'm also going to deconstruct the small battery so we're not leaking as much. Freya's also leveled up. We're going to put them in the farming, and that way that next skill we can grab the critter ranching, which we need. That way we can start getting into trimming off the flox's antlers for the wood. And then, of course, Luke is going to get advanced research. That way we can continue down our research path. And our second pod of the playthrough already. I don't think I'm going to grab another duplicant quite yet because we don't have long-term food handled. But we will grab the 3 tons of sand that we don't have access to. I suppose I can start putting some planter boxes down for the pike apple bushes, which means I need to start tracking this phosphorite. We're not going to have access to it forever, but in the beginning here, it would be smart. We'll use the bristly greens. Now, we know the pike apple bush gives us 267 calories per cycle when properly maintained. So that means each duplicant is going to require 4 pike apple bushes. I don't even think we have those seeds yet, so we're just going to start with 2 duplicants worth. And the 267 is really good because 4 plants going to give us a little bit over 1,000. So it'll account for a little bit of the time wasted between harvests. Put down the pike apples here, copy them over. I'm also going to start storing some phosphorite, let's say right here. And that way it's conveniently located for the duplicants. What I'll also probably end up doing is putting the pike apple bushes inside the flox ranches. Sort of a 2 birds, 1 stone thing. And that's because, well, floxes eat pike apples. And just like a pip, they're going to give you dirt back at 833% of the consumed mass. What does that turn out to be? So they eat 20% of the growth per cycle and give you 5 kilos worth of dirt. Okay, that's not too bad. So 1 pike apple bush will be able to sustain 5 floxes. After our rummaging, we ended up with 1 snazzy suit. 2 snazzy suits. We have not rummaged through these 2 yet. Come on, give me a warm coat. Warm coat, Luke. Keep rummaging. All snazzy suits. Definitely not helpful. Although the snazzy suit does have a little bit of thickness. So we'll put JM Mort in it. 1 for Freya. And 1 for Luke. This is not going to be as nice as Naz's warm coat, which has a 0.8 centimeters of thickness compared to the 0.25. But hey, maybe it'll keep them a little warmer. But like I said, I have not seen any sort of math on the duplicant on how to estimate the warmth based on the thickness of clothing. Look at all of our wonderful aloe veras growing very nicely. Our oxygen supply is doing just fine. We have some food going down. We got a couple of heat sources. Our colony's up to a good start. I hope you've enjoyed this first video and first look at the Frosty Planet Pack DLC. and the Ceres asteroid. I'm looking forward to seeing what you think in the comments below, and are also looking forward to us venturing to the deep and finding the geothermal vent. So until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.